Hi creative friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. So today what I'm going to do is I am going to be working over top of this spread over here, and I use this piece of paper to do a demo for a video that I did, and I think it was about colors in portraits, but now I want to turn it into a background. So the only reason I painted this is just to make the video, but now I'm like, okay, it's a piece of Bristol paper and I am going to turn it into a luscious background. Now what I'm going to do first of all is I am going to keep some of these color fields because I'm really loving it, but I also am going to obliterate most of it. And what I mean by that is, like, it's not gonna look like a lady like it does now. So the parts of it that I do keep, it's gonna be in an abstracted way, I guess. And all I'm doing is just making circles. And look, I do want to keep this part over here. I think that's a beautiful color field with all the blue lines. And I'm going to try to keep some of that. And I'm going to turn it upside down just so I don't get kind of hung up on the image. Now I did lay some paints on my palette here. My Luminous Opera, a really beautiful magenta, my Cad Red Light, and an ultramarine blue. And I don't know if I'm going to add more paints to the mix, but I do want to use my handmade collage. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go like so, and I want to get color on the page. Like, I want to get rid of this lady. So you guys, I taught a class, and it was with Everything Art UK, and this was a few years ago, and I drew a lady, I painted a lady, and then, you know, I just didn't like it. There was nothing wrong with it. I just, you know, I just wasn't feeling it. So I covered it up, and a lot of people were like really upset about that, and it was like almost like a visceral feeling of like, no, don't do that. But honestly, you guys, I don't look at my art like that. I just look at it like, hey, you know, it's still there, and you know, I'm just covering it up, but she's still there, you know. It doesn't bother me as much. Now sometimes when it's an abstract and like I have this really beautiful design or color or whatever, I do, you know, go, oh, I don't want to cover that up. But when it comes to like a figure, I'm like, oh well. So it doesn't bother me at all. And I think I also want to add my tea bags, but I'm gonna have to wait for this to dry because I don't want the I don't want all that water to get into the tea bags. And I think I'm gonna add some of my collage here. Now it is different building up a background on a substrate that already has something on it, as opposed to it being completely blank. Because when it's completely blank, I am not being guided by what's on the page. And even though I'm covering up this lady, I am still being guided by her because I'm, you know, placing my circles in a certain way to retain parts of the painting. I am echoing some of the colors that are on the page. So it is very different than working on a purely blank slate. And I love these beautiful pools of color here. And I'm just gonna let this dry naturally. I'm not gonna use a heating tool. And I kind of want some neutrals, or even just some white maybe. I don't know. I have so much handmade collage, you guys. But I am telling you, nothing changes your art as quickly and as personally as your handmade collage. I want something different. Ooh, now I do like that. That really changes things. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rip it up a little bit, and I'm gonna ooh, I really do love that. I think that really kind of adds so much to the piece. I mean, even though this is just like a first layer, it really changes things. Now, I think I want some yellow. I'm just feeling like I want to add some yellow here. And I think it's because there's that yellow over there, so I want to mimic that. And this is a very relaxing kind of a thing, especially your first layers. So the thing is, you guys, I want it to be messy and juicy. Now, I don't want it to be messy in the sense of I get muddy colors, but I want it to be like super, super dynamic. And, you know, the messier it is, the better, because a lot of my earlier paintings were so stilted, and I am going to show you guys some of my earlier stuff. I know I keep on saying that I'm going to, and I never do, but I really love the dynamic quality from messiness, because it shows that there's life in the painting. You know, it infuses your page with energy, and if everything is too tight, I just don't like it. Now, if that's the way you paint, there are paintings that are just, you know, they're very tight drawings, paintings, etc., and there's nothing wrong with that. I love looking at them. I just don't like painting them. I like the unexpectedness of, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how this is gonna turn out. Like, I love that. And I'm just kind of doing some weird stuff I normally wouldn't do, because I want to retain that color field over there of the hair. And this is what I mean when I say that, you know, this is different than working on a completely blank page, because I am being guided by what is already on there. And I'm just gonna kind of mess it up a bit. So I feel like I've gotten rid of a lot of the lady. There's still her lips over there, but you know, they don't look like lips. They just look like, it just looks like a shape. And let me see here. Okay, you guys, this looks like a big juicy mess, which, you know, I'm kind of pleased about it actually. Okay, you guys, I am going to allow this to completely dry, and then I'm gonna come back and I am going to add my tea bags to the mix. So if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video.